Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we're taking a look at the brand new McFarlane Toys Ninja Spawn. So let's go ahead and get right into it, starting off with the packaging. You are able to see Spawn through the window. You can see the swords that he comes with. I like the green artwork that he has behind the figure. I think that looks awesome and it's very fitting for the character. Right here it does say Spawn in some awesome old school Todd McFarlane style artwork, and then down here it does say Ninja Spawn in some super boring font, and then on the side of the box we do get a look at Ninja Spawn looking pretty damn awesome. On the back of the box, we get some awesome looking Ninja Spawn artwork. And as you can see, he is in a very dynamic fighting type of pose. Hopefully the figure is able to achieve this type of pose. I guess we'll see. On the side of the box, it does say Spawn. And that's about it for the packaging. It is collector friendly and all that good stuff. But enough about the box. Let's go ahead and open this up and take a look at Ninja Spawn. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, so here we have Ninja Spawn right out of the box. And I've got to say, I'm kind of having mixed feelings about this figure. On one hand, I do think that he looks really good. He's got some great sculpting work. He's got some amazing detail. And I think he's going to look awesome next to other Spawn figures on the shelf. But on the other hand, he's not a whole lot of fun to play with, which is kind of disappointing because, you know, it's Spawn as a ninja. You would think that they would kind of prioritize, like, fun factor a little bit. But, you know, they didn't. He's got the same old problems that a lot of McFarlane figures have in regards to articulation. But I can't really sit here and act disappointed in those things because I know he's not going to have certain things just kind of walking into it. When I picked up this figure, I knew he wasn't going to have upper thigh swivel, so I can't sit here and cry about it. But I will say, with some McFarlane figures, they've been getting better and better with the amount of clearance that the upper thigh area has. So it kind of makes up for not having an upper thigh swivel. But that's not the case with Ninja Spawn, so that's a little disappointing. But again, that's kind of a gamble when you pick up one of these figures. You're kind of like hoping that they put enough clearance in there, but you just never know. In this case, they did not. And you know, some of the problems that I expected were kind of, I could overlook those, you know, because again, I know what I'm getting into when it comes to Spawn figures, and I mean to McFarlane figures, and you just gotta kind of hope for the best, but you can't really get disappointed in the things that you know he's going to have. But this guy has a couple of QC issues that are driving me crazy. Like his arms are a problem. They won't stay on. Look at this. It comes right off. Like with zero effort. And I don't know if like this peg is messed up or what. I mean, I'm sure this is just going to be an issue on mine, but it's part of my experience here, so I have to share it with you. I'm sure not all of them are going to be like this, but I don't know, because check this out. This arm comes right off like that, and this arm, it doesn't come off as easy, but with just a little bit of effort, comes right off. Like, you know, if you move this around too much, there you go, it comes off. I could probably fix those pegs, and it's not too big of a problem, but right out of the box, it's just a little unpleasant, you know. And then, you know, he's got like the ratchet joints that just kind of feel weird and look weird, especially at the wrist. I will say at the foot, he did a better job of kind of hiding the joint with the ankle, so that's cool. But I just don't like the ratchets. I understand, like, you kind of need them to be able to support heavier figures, but yeah, if you don't have them ratcheted, like, in the correct position, it's kind of hard to get him to stand up. Luckily, mine are good, so he's hanging out right there. But yeah, you know, my first impression right out of the box is like, oh man, I wanted to like this a little more. I don't hate it or anything. I'm not going to make a video screaming and crying about it or anything. But I do feel like they could have done a better job with it. There's simple little things going on here that I feel could have been avoided. But yeah, you know, I don't know. Like, for me, McFarlane figures kind of fall into two categories for the most part. One category is basically they suck and I hate them. The other category is that they're pretty cool and maybe with a little bit of work they could be cooler. That's kind of where Ninja Spawn is. So, you know, I'm okay with it even though I do have some problems. And then there's like the rare occasion where McFarlane Toys absolutely kills it. And let me show you a good example of that. That would be this guy here. If all their figures were as good as this, they would be straight killing the game because this thing is amazing. But unfortunately, I can't say the same for all McFarlane Toys figures. But yeah, I don't know, man. Let's go ahead and get in close and take a look at the details on them. Like pretty much all McFarlane figures, they really did a great job with the sculpt. Starting off at the head, I really like the design of this right here. I like how we could see the eyes peering through the part in the mask. and then we could see a little bit of white from his actual face mask underneath there. I think that's awesome. And then I love the bright green eyes. I think that's very cool. And then I don't know if this is like a mask or a sash or like a bandana wrapped around his head or whatever you want to call this whole thing. It looks amazing and it's beautifully sculpted. I like how it's bunched up in the back here, kind of tied together like in a sloppy way. And then this thing here is removable, so you could position that however you want. And yeah, that looks really good. This is a very cool head sculpt. Look at that. Look at those green eyes. Beautiful stuff. And then moving down into the upper body armor, look at all the details on there. And I love that they put a wash so that we could see all those details and it just doesn't look like plastic, you know. Came out very nice. And then we have some horns on the shoulder that are silver. It would have been nice to see a little bit more silver in here, like maybe for the buckles and stuff, just to kind of break it up. But as it is, I think it looks awesome. Look at all that detail. That's nice, man. Up here on the shoulder. Really well done. And then going around to the back here, we do have his sword sheaths. And the swords stay in there pretty securely. Don't have to worry about them falling out or anything. And this just plugs in there. You could just kind of remove it and see what else we have going on back there. Some more buckles and detail and stuff. So yeah, it looks good. And then down here we have some like throwing stars and stuff and some knives. Yeah, look at that. And that's all painted silver, so that looks really good. Yeah, that's awesome, man. The armor looks nice. And then the Spawn torso looks good too. You got the white lines on there. And then you got the muscles. But then check this out. This looks kind of ugly. So the transition here from the shoulder to the upper bicep is really, really bad. I kind of think these arms are on here backwards, so I'm gonna have to pop these out and kind of see what I could do. I mean, look at that. That doesn't look right. You could even see the, can you see the letter right there that says R for right? I don't know, but yeah, that's ugly right there. That's really strange that it looks like that you could see that much of the peg. Or is that an L? I don't know. I kind of feels like there's a letter right there. Anyways. And that might be contributing to why the arm is falling off so easy, you know, because the way it's set up here. So I'm going to have to see what I could do about that. Anyways, moving on. We got these things on his forearms that look really good. And then with a little bit of red underneath. And then looking at the belt, look at that. Ooh, that's dope. And look at all the details there. And then check this out, man. Look at the detail on the, I don't know what you want to call this. The decurtain. I call this the decurtain. There's a lot of details on it, and it looks good. Got some lettering on there. We got the S curtain back here. So that's really well sculpted. A lot of nice detail, so that's awesome. And then look at that. Yeah, we've got a bit of a wash in there. Then looking at the legs, the lower legs, that is. Look at that. That looks good, man. A lot of really great sculpting work. Look at the texture on there. Looks like cloth. It kind of matches the loincloth here. Yeah, so, you know, that's the kind of stuff where McFarlane really shines. The amount of detail that they put into their sculpts. Look at that. That looks really good. And on this side, it's a little different from the opposite one. It doesn't have the spikes, but it still looks really nice. Yeah, so, you know, the amount of sculpting work on this guy is pretty insane. Like the actual body has some weird things going on in regards to like the shoulders and the arms and stuff. But the armor is amazing. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to show you. Check this out. Look at this peg hole. And then the peg. The peg is like way smaller than the peg hole. So that's really weird too. So some of the ways that the parts come together do look a little odd. But as far as the actual sculpted detail on the figure, they killed it. They really did. Especially with this upper armor and the head and everything. There's a lot of really good sculpting work to appreciate here. And then for accessories, he does have some weapons and stuff, and then he also comes with this stand, and this is the standard McFarlane Toys stand that we see all the time. This time around it does say Spawn, so these do come in handy. And then he does come with some swords. Here is the first one. This looks pretty nice. A lot of great details. This thing looks like it'll really cause some damage, man. This is awesome. But yeah, look at the sculpting work on it. I will say it is like kind of soft and flimsy, but you know, it's okay. It would have been nice if they had some metallic paintwork on the blade itself. But aside from that, I think this is a cool looking sword. And he does come with two of these, and they are able to fit into these sword sheaths that plug into his back. And they stay in there pretty securely. Don't have to worry about them falling out or anything like that. And yeah, these look pretty good too. Not a whole lot going on. Kind of flimsy plastic, but you know, I guess I prefer the somewhat flimsy plastic as opposed to like the rigid plastic that's prone to breaking, because these don't feel like they'll break. They're a little bit flimsy, but they're not too flimsy, and they don't feel like they're gonna warp or anything. So you know, these are okay actually. I'm good with these swords and these weapons, and I'm happy that he came with 2 different sets. I think that's awesome. And then now for some size comparisons. Here we have Ninja Spawn alongside the McFarlane Toys Mortal Kombat 11 Spawn with the custom cape from High School Creations. Be sure to follow High School Creations if you aren't already. I'll leave a link to his Instagram in the description below. That dude is awesome. It seems like he does everything. Soft goods, dioramas, takes great pictures, all that stuff, and he's a really good guy, so be sure to check him out. On the opposite side, we have the McFarlane Toys Gunslinger Spawn, and you know, you could say whatever you want about McFarlane Toys in regards to some of their shortcomings with the articulation and some of the decisions that they make, but you can't deny that their figures have a really nice shelf presence. Like, having these 3 on the shelf is going to be amazing. Having different versions of Spawn is something that I really like about the character, and I remember that from when I was a kid, you know, like you could look on the back of a Spawn figure and just see all these different versions of Spawn, and it's like, damn, I wish I had all those. And, you know, it's really cool to see McFarlane Toys putting these versions out now, you know, with more articulation and all that good stuff, and they do look really cool on the shelf together, and I can't wait to have more versions of Spawn. Hopefully we get, I know Commando Spawn is on the way, so I can't wait for that, but I also hope that we get a really good classic Spawn, because I hate the Kickstarter one. Sorry to say it, but yeah, it's whack. And then next up, we have Ninja Spawn alongside the Marvel Legends Deluxe Venom and the Marvel Legends Movie Venom with a custom head from Casting Cave. I'll leave a link to his Instagram and website in the description below. That dude is amazing. Definitely took this Venom to another level. And for no reason at all, here we have him alongside the NECA Caesar from Planet of the Apes and the NECA King Kong. And then next up, we have him alongside the McFarlane Toys Azrael and the McFarlane Toys Lobo. And this Azrael figure is another example of a McFarlane Toys figure that was pretty awesome right out of the box, but you were able to take him to a whole nother level if you just modified a few things. So I gave him the upper thigh swivel and added a bunch of articulation to the torso. And when I did that, this guy might become like my favorite McFarlane Toys figure, actually. If I were to sit and think about it, he's going to be pretty high up on the list there. But just like a couple of small modifications really take these figures a long way, you know? And then here we have him alongside the NECA movie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Raphael and the NECA DC vs. Dark Horse Batman. Next up, we have him alongside the Mezco 112 Collective Ronin Logan and the Mezco 112 Collective Iron Fist. And I was kind of thinking like, oh, these are ninja type characters. Maybe they could go up against them pretty good, but I don't think so. Spawn is like way too big to hang out with 112 scale figures. And then last but not least, of course, we have Ninja Spawn alongside the Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man and the Marvel Legends Bucky Cap. And then when it comes to the articulation, it's basically what you'd expect out of any McFarlane Toys figure. He's got some cool things going on, but for the most part, there's a lot of limitations. And it's unfortunate because this guy's a ninja character, so you'd want to put him into fighting poses and things like that. And you can, but it's just a little difficult because of the limitations. And the figure is just not that much fun to handle. So I'm definitely going to make some modifications and see if I could get a little bit more out of it. But let's go ahead and take a look, starting off at the head. I really don't like the way they did the head. So the head and the neck are one piece. We only have articulation at the lower neck, so it does get some side to side, which is kind of cool. And then it, you know, could move left to right. He could look up only to about right there, and then he could look down to right there. So there's some decent movement at the head, but I really wish that they would have made the head its own piece. And I think they could have done that and hidden the articulation in the sculpt, you know, because his head is like wrapped in that bandana. I feel like they could have put that articulation in there and it would have been pretty seamless, but they decided not to. And then for the torso is pretty good actually. He does have a diaphragm cut and then a ball joint at the waist. So using both of those, he crunches forward to about right there. It's not a crazy amount, but you know, it's decent enough. I could definitely live with that. But since I'm going to be making modifications, I'll probably increase that a little bit too. But if everything else was good on this guy, I'd be fine with this. I think it gets a pretty good amount of movement there. And then you are able to swivel at the diaphragm and kind of swivel at the waist if you want. And then for the arms, we have, you know, that butterfly type of joint that McFarlane Toys likes to do. Doesn't get a whole lot of movement because of the armor and stuff, but it's in there. And then he does have a ball joint that does go all the way around, kinda. There we go. You can bring his arms up to the side to about right there. So pretty good. And then he does have upper bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows that get a pretty good bend. Bam, there we go. That's nice. At the wrist, he has a ball joint, so that swivels around, and then you could hinge right there, and then you could also swivel on the hand itself. So you got good movement at the hands there. And then for the legs are always kind of a bummer when it comes to McFarlane figures because, you know, they refuse to put in the upper thigh cut, and they also refuse to make the joint setup that they have actually work, because the setup that they have, you know, you could give it enough clearance to have thigh swivel in there, but they just refuse to do it. So that I don't understand. I get the argument that aesthetically it kind of breaks things up if you put the upper thigh cut in there. I understand that point, but I don't understand why they don't give enough clearance inside here in this area that's hidden so that the legs could move a little bit more. They've done it on some figures. It's weird because they do it on their bigger figures and it works out just fine. But yeah, with something like Spawn, you're only going to get a little bit of thigh swivel, so that does suck. But he can kick his leg out a really good amount. Look at that. That's pretty good. Oh yeah, that's dope actually. You could kind of get him in that pose from the back of the box. Yeah, so that's cool. And then he does have, well actually, his legs go forward to right there. And they come back to right there. And you know, I'm going to modify the legs a little bit, but I don't think I'm going to just add a thigh swivel. I think I'm going to just see if I could cut around the inside of the hip there, because it's all hidden. So no matter what you do, you know, you're not going to really see the damage that you cause. So I'm just going to try to cut away at as much plastic as I can in there and make it so he could swivel his leg around a little bit. And then he does have double jointed knees that are pretty nice. No boot swivel. And then at the ankle, he kind of has a ball joint type of setup. So we get swivel. It could go forward to right there, come up to right there. And a little bit of rocking action, I think. Somehow. I don't know. The joints are... Yeah, there's a little bit of... Actually, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on in there. You can't really rock the feet side to side. Oh, shoot. I'm going to break it. Maybe this side. What do we got going on over here? I mean, you could swivel the foot on the little joint, but you can't really... It doesn't really work to rock side to side in any kind of way that makes sense. I don't know. The ankles are kind of weird. They go forward to right there, come up to right there, and then he does have toe joints. So yeah, like I said, definitely some limitations, but nothing that's really a surprise. It's basically the limitations that all McFarlane Toys figures have. But you know, I'm gonna make some modifications and try to make it to where I could have some more fun playing with this guy. Alright, so overall, at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, the dust settles, and it's all said and done, I think this figure's okay. You know, I do like it, but I'm not gonna sit here and act like I love it. And at the same time, I'm not completely happy with it, but I'm not going to sit here and act like I hate it. It kind of just falls in between for me. I think it's going to serve a purpose. It's going to look awesome on the shelf along with the other Spawn figures. I just wish that he was a little bit more fun to play with, you know, especially because he's a version of Spawn that doesn't have the cape, and we don't have to worry about the big old chunk of plastic on the back. It's just Spawn that we could kind of play with. But in this case, he just doesn't have the fun factor. Some of the articulation limitations just really hold this figure back. And you know, again, I can't act like I'm surprised that this figure doesn't have those, because it's pretty much standard practice to leave out certain things on McFarlane Toys. But you know, I just sometimes hope that they could kind of make up for it in other places, and I don't think they did necessarily on this guy as far as the articulation goes. And then mine does have that one QC issue with the arms that they keep falling off. I think I could fix that. In fact, like I mentioned before, I think the arms are on backwards. So once I flip them around and do whatever, hopefully it kind of solves that. But yeah, man, like I said, I don't dislike the figure, and I actually like it enough to maybe put some work into it and see if I could get it to the point where I actually love the figure and I want to play with it. Because as it is right now, that's just not the case, even though I want it to be the case. So, you know, I like it enough to try to get it to its full potential. I'm just not blown away right out of the box. But, you know, I think we could get there. I'm going to try, so we'll see what happens. As far as the positive aspects of this figure, the sculpting work is amazing. They really went all out on the details, and sometimes I'm not always crazy about McFarlane sculpts, you know. As a company that's kind of known for the mind-blowing sculpts, I don't always feel that way when it comes to their figures. But on Ninja Spawn, I think they did an incredible job, and the sculpting work is very well done, very clean, lots of little details on the armor and stuff. It just all looks really nice. So I am happy with the sculpting work on this guy. And yeah, you know, like I said, I'm gonna try to get him to his full potential, because it's got some of the workings of a great figure. It just just kind of like bogged down by some of those weird McFarlane choices. But yeah, I am happy to have a Ninja Spawn. He's gonna look awesome on the shelf, even if I am not able to chop him up and get the articulation to where I want it. He is going to look cool on the shelf, so, you know, that'll have to be enough for now. And with that, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification so you know every time that I go live. If you're not aware, I do go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and every Friday at 7 p.m. So come through, let's talk about toys and get weird. Thank you very much. Peace.